What is up, dudes? How y'all doing? Ladies and gentlemen, hope you're doing well. I'm coming back to you guys with another quick book review from my car, from my Whipski. Today we got, it's actually a play. And I don't know, when you read a play, did you read the script? Is that what you call it? Or is script only for movies or in television? I don't know. So I guess just for this video, I'm going to call it a script for Reginald Rose's 12 Angry Men, all right? So, guys, you can read this thing in like a day. It's only 75 pages or so. You could read this shit. It's really good. Just break it up in 1 day or 2 days. Basically, the whole play takes place in one room. It's about 12 jurors that are dealing with a homicide case of a 16-year-old boy who supposedly killed his father. And it takes place in New York. The boy is from the slums. They make it seem like he's some sort of minority, but they don't tell you exactly what kind. And I think that's really smart, actually, because you see that there's prejudice in some of the jurors with the decisions and the things they're saying about the boy, and they never say blatantly, what his race is or what have you. And I think that was a brilliant move, actually, by holding that back, because it doesn't ever seem sanctimonious and preachy with the message of the play. And it was a really good genius move, I think, to do that. And basically, it's all in this one room. They're deciding whether he's guilty or not. The judge has told them in the very first line, it's the judge saying, all right, guys, it's your duty to decide if he's guilty without a reasonable doubt. Or not guilty. Very first vote, everybody says guilty except juror number 8, who I guess you could say is the protagonist. He says not guilty. And all the characters in this play, none of them have names. It's all just juror number 1, juror number 2, 3, 4, all the way to 12. And then the foreman, who's actually juror number 1, it's foreman, because he's the leader, I guess, of the 12. And then there's a guard who comes in every once in a while if they need an item or they're discussing something. Yeah, so there's no name. So it can get a little confusing when you're reading of like, oh, wait, did the 4th juror say that before? I don't know. I don't remember. It can get a little confusing, like the little dialogue between them, because it'll say, 4th juror says this, 11th juror says this. But it is kind of cool that even though you don't know their names, you do start to like see some of them as their own distinct characters. Like, it's like, oh yeah, the 10th juror would say that, which is pretty cool. And it's a really good play, guys. I recommend this to anybody that doesn't read that much and is, kind of interested in reading right now because of this whole quarantine and everything with the coronavirus. They can read this in 1 day, 2 days, maybe, break it up. It's super short and it's really powerful. It stays with you, man. It really stays with you. And it's really tense, too, at parts. Like, you feel like you're in the room with them when you're reading this. And the dialogue is just a masterclass of writing by Reginald Rose. Yeah, it became a very famous movie a few years after the play came out. I have not seen the movie. And apparently it's seen as one of the greatest movies of all time. I don't know. I've never seen it. But I read the play and I loved it. I'm going to see the movie soon. If I can find it. Like, I don't know where I would even find it. It's a really old movie from this 1960 black and white or something. So yeah, hopefully I find it. I heard the movie's great. Let's read a couple quotes, guys. We're gonna read a couple quotes. Hold on, I'm trying to do this one-handed. Let me find one for you. Okay, so this is in the beginning. The 8th juror just said not guilty. And then everyone's like, whoa, what? And this is the 3rd juror leaning over toward the 8th juror. Well, look, do you really think he's innocent? I don't know. I mean, let's be reasonable. You sat in court and heard the same things we did. The man's a dangerous killer. You could see it. The man, he's 16 years old. Well, that's old enough. He knifed his own father. 4 inches into the chest. Sixth juror to the 8th juror. It's pretty obvious. I mean, I was convinced from the first day. So that's just everyone. This whole scene in the beginning shows everyone starting to gang up on the 8th juror. Because at first, for a while, they all believe that, the guy's guilty, except juror number 8. And he starts to explain why he's doubtful about it, And it's such good writing, because at some point another juror says, well, what if he really is guilty and you're doing all this to make him seem not guilty? You're about to let another killer out on the street. And you can tell that the 8th juror is actually feeling kind of like guilty or skeptical about that as well, because he's like, I don't know, like I could be wrong, and I hope I'm not. So it's such a tense decision, like. And this is when, back in the day, when it was electric chair. So if they give the kid guilty, he's gonna die in the electric chair. So they're basically sentencing him to his death or not. So, or they could be letting a guilty kid get away with it. So guys, it's a great play. Let me read just one more quote. This is a quote from they're arguing later about it. So he starts to sway some people in the room over to his side. Like some people, they also start thinking, yeah, actually, you're kind of right. There were some doubtful things about the witness's testimony and things like that. So here's a quote from the 11th juror. My question is, if he really had killed his father, why would he come back 3 hours later? Wouldn't he be afraid of being caught? 3rd juror. Look, he came home to get his knife. It's not nice to leave knives sticking around in people's chests. 7th juror. Yeah, especially relatives. 4th juror to the 11th. The boy knew that there were people who could identify the knife as the one he had just bought. He had to get it before the police did. 11th. But if he knew the knife could be identified, why did he leave it there in the first place? 4th. Well, I think we can assume he ran out in a state of panic after he killed his father. And then he finally calmed down. He realized that he had left the knife there. 11th. This then depends on your definition of panic. He was calm enough to see to it that there were no fingerprints on the knife. Now, where did his panic start and where did it end? So they have all these questions going on in the book that are really interesting, because it's like, yeah, you can believe that the kid could just leave the knife in the chest, run out because he's panicked, he's never killed anybody. But then the 11th is like, well, then why did he wipe the knife down for fingerprints? So there's all these questions that don't really have a clear answer. So that's why it helps make it so interesting, guys. So yeah, I'm going on a little longer than I meant to for this book. I highly recommend it, guys. I'm going to watch a movie, hopefully tonight, maybe tomorrow. Yeah, keep reading, y'all. Stay safe. Like, comment, subscribe. I'll smell y'all later.